Hi, I'm Christine Stewart. I write as Christine Stewart-Nuñez, and I am the South Dakota Poet Laureate. And the folks at the Sioux Falls Libraries have asked me to get to put some thoughts together about poetry to start off Poetry Month, because April is National Poetry Month. And I got a list of questions, and there are many great ones, but I think it would take an hour or so to go through all of them. So I thought I would just start by answering a few questions about my writing process. And so one of the questions is, did you always have an interest in reading and writing? And I have to say that I have a very long interest in reading and writing. When I was a kid, I read the A encyclopedia that the salesman dropped off at my parents' house over the weekend. He was trying to sell us the whole set, but I knew my parents couldn't afford it, so I just read the whole encyclopedia so I could get a sense of what was in there. I read my mom's Spanish book, high school Spanish book. I read an 800-page World's Best Fairy Tales. I read every book I could get my hands on at my grade school and into the upper grades, anything I was interested in. So I was a voracious reader as a kid, and I started to write a lot when my sister passed away. She was 20 and I was 11 years old, and I started to process her death by writing poetry. And I wrote a novel of sorts too, but I think it was the poetry that really stuck with me because I could use metaphors to describe how I was feeling. I really had a hard time describing what I was going through and how it affected my family. And I still write about loss. I can answer those questions and on another time too, perhaps. Another question is, do you write every day? Is there a specific time or place that you write best? And I do try to write every day, but it's not that I always wrote every day. So for a long time, even when I was 11, when my sister passed away, I would write when I felt inspired to write. And I think a lot of writers out there do that. Like if they're dabble in writing, they'll just, whenever they feel moved to write, right? So I did that for a long time too. I wrote when I felt inspired, and I wrote when I was assigned writing by a teacher. But finally, once I realized that this was something I really wanted to do, that I thought was something I was good at, that I could explore further, and I already knew I wanted to be a teacher. I was a teacher, a high school English teacher. I decided to go on for my graduate work, my PhD in English, and focus on creative writing. Then I said, okay, if I'm going to do this for real, I'm going to get a PhD, I better write every day. And so my first goal was to just get my butt in the seat and try to see what happened every day for 2 hours a day, so 5 days a week. And that first week was really tough. I ended up copying words out of the dictionary just because I couldn't figure out what to write about. But by the fourth or fifth day, that got really boring, and ideas started to pop into my head, images started to pop into my head, and I just started writing from there. And I've really never looked back. I've taken time off when I had my oldest son. I was still finishing up my PhD, and so I took a semester off from creative writing and was working on teaching and parenting. And from time to time, I've taken vacations or vacations from writing, but usually I try to put in those hours every week. And if not 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week, in the summer it's even more, it's like 20 hours a week, I really try to at least touch my writing every day. And that could just be 5 or 10 minutes. I don't think everybody has to do that. As a matter of fact, I think if you are able to find 15 or 20 minutes a day to work on your work, then that's fantastic. And that's a good place to start. Another one of the questions that was a specific time, I guess I didn't answer that. I'm a morning person, so I've been getting up even now during the pandemic at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have 2 children and a husband, so it's nice to find those quiet moments to kind of focus on my work. And so I've been getting up really early to write. For me, it's very grounding and very comforting to be able to do that, and I'm very lucky that I've been able to do that during this really intense time of our country and our world. So do I have a community to hold me accountable? Keep me accountable. I absolutely do. My best friend and writing partner is Rochelle Harris Cox. She lives in Georgia, and we work every week on the phone. We workshop each other's writing, whether it's a syllabi for a class we're teaching, or poetry, or a novel draft, or memoir draft. We exchange our work grant applications. I mean, you name it, we share it and give each other a response on it. I also have some longer groups too. I mean, Rochelle and I have been working together for about 15 years, maybe even longer. And but I have other groups too. I have some friends that we work on memoir workshops together. I have my Women Poets Collective group that I founded in 2014, and we get together once a year to workshop full-length manuscripts of poetry and give each other feedback on that. But during the year, we keep in touch and support each other's work, give each other advice on professional things, and encourage each other to submit our work out into the world. We were supposed to get together for our yearly meeting last weekend, but of course we postponed it because of the virus. But hopefully we'll be using Zoom in the next few months to work on each other's manuscripts, because we've all had them read now, so we might as well share with each other the feedback that we have. I'm really proud of that work. Most of us who've submitted manuscripts from our collective have gotten publication contracts. So that's fantastic. And we're trying to figure out how to grow the group and make it more accessible to anyone who wants to be in it or have a group like it. So I'm working on how to teach other people the model we've used, because it's been very successful. There's lots of questions here too about where I draw inspiration and specific themes for poetry, but I think I'll save that for the next one. So far, I've not been interrupted by any family members, and that's really good for me. So I'll save that for this next time I'm able to jump on and answer some more questions about poetry and share with you one of my most passionate things in the world, which is the love of language and the beauty and wonderful things it can bring to the world. Thanks.